I felt like a new person was born. Like I was different. Things that mattered didn't matter anymore.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Assyrian Podcast. It's Rhoda here, and I'm so happy to bring you the story of Adrenna Alkhas for episode 62. She is an author, college professor, wife, and mom, and she's also recently teamed up with a former guest of the podcast, Maryam Shamalta from Shamiram Media, to offer a series of talks in various cities aimed at empowering women. You'll hear Adrenna talk more about the vision behind Assyrian EmpowHer and her book, EmpowHer, in this episode. Assyrian history is filled with stories of kings, fighters, and inventors who have changed the world in the course of human civilization and history. That same history boasts of women like Malikta Shamiran and Muggi the warrior, but maybe lacks the stories of countless of grandmothers, mothers, daughters, and sisters who have supported their families and communities with their quiet strength, grace, and love. This is why I'm so glad I got to read Adrenna's book and talk to her about the superwomen in her life, both real and fictional. Adrenna's book, in addition to being a collection of stories about her family and personal life, is about helping young women navigate the toxic terrains of school and work and how to fight for their dreams and ambitions and figure out how to have it all. You'll hear more about what this means to Adrenna in this episode. We'll also post the link to her book in the show notes. Before we get into this week's interview, support for this podcast comes from Tony Kalogerakos and the injury lawyers of Illinois and New York. If you know anyone that has been in a serious accident, please reach out to Tony Kalogerakos. Tony has been recognized as a top 40 lawyer and a rising star by Super Lawyers publication and has obtained multiple multi-million-dollar awards. Tony can be reached at injuryrights.com or 847-982-9516. Everyone has their own special way of looking at life. And now, here's Adrenna Alkhas and the way she views life.
So you wrote a book called EmpowHer with an H-E-R.
Yes.
Did you ever think you would write a book?
No, never. I mean, I've done, I have my doctorate, so I've done thesis and I've done the dissertation and all the schoolwork and stuff like that, but never, ever. I mean, especially having 3 kids and just the craziness and the chaos that goes around that and working also. Never.
No. One of my favorite authors is Toni Morrison.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she said about the first book she wrote is that the book she wanted to read was not out there. And so that's what inspired her. So I wondered how true that was for you.
It was exactly the same thing for me, because I thought to myself, if I was a 20-year-old, if I went back to being 18, 19 years old, what would I tell myself and how would I educate myself? What type of book would I want to read as a 20-year-old? And I thought to myself, well, I should just write one for those girls that are passive, that like me when I was in my early 20s, just starting off and kind of not knowing how to maneuver around toxic people and toxic work environments. And, Ahlan Suraya were taught to respect people and to always be mindful of others. At least that's how we were always taught. And my personality was always very quiet and shy and passive. So and going out in the real world after college, I just didn't know how to maneuver around somebody that was being very toxic to me or doing things towards me that was not benefiting my work. So, and how do you maneuver around that? It took a while to figure it out, but so now I'm older and not that I know any better, I'm still learning. So there's never a moment where you should think that I know it all ever, because the day you think you know it all should be the day you should just not work, just not even be a leader, because you're always educating yourself and you're always, trying to better yourself so that you could be a better leader.
Yeah. You teach communications classes,
yes.
Is that right? I have to say that totally came through in the book, because the way it sounded to me was like listening to like a big inspirational speech at times. And it was nice because you integrated these funny, personal, and like culturally relevant little tidbit like asides. And to me, those felt like moments where you were like a wink wink at the reader, or like nudging them closer, or like developing a more intimate relationship with whoever's reading your book. Why was it important for you to write in that kind of tone?
Because I wanted to be as though I was drinking chai with you and having a conversation with you. I wanted it to be I wanted to set an inviting tone for the younger demographic when they're reading it, because they're the vulnerable ones. You know, they're the ones that are impressionable. They're the ones that are still learning and trying to maneuver around their environment and the unknown. Your 20s, I felt like my 20s were the unknown. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I still don't know what I'm doing half the time, but it's gotten better. Like, you know, I'm more stable now than I was in my 20s. So that's how I approached it. And he said, listen to this. So I'm writing it. I had help. I hired a writer's coach, a writing coach to help me, because in the beginning, because I was like, how do I start this? How do I go about it? So this lady, she's from England. She actually helped me, because when I started writing it, my first chapter sounded like a dissertation. And she goes, Adrenna, this is not how you write a nonfiction. You need to have a different tone. You're not doing a research project. You're having a conversation with an 18-year-old sitting next to you. And that's how I wrote it.
Yeah, that totally came through. And good. I really, really enjoyed that. You have a daughter and 2 sons.
Yeah.
Did you have your daughter in mind when you were writing the book?
Yes. Oh, most definitely. Because I say these things to her now. Because she's just how I was, very passive and very, very shy and quiet. So I tell, because the little girls, it starts young. I mean, kindergarten, first grade, there's mean girls out there. And I tell her, you know, Betsy, these girls are going to be there whether you like it or not. These girls will be there when you start working. So you need to learn now to figure it out. You know, I'll help you, but I'm not going to be there forever. You need to figure it out. You're going to be in high school. You're going to go to college. Mommy's not going to be there. You have to figure it out now and be tough.
There is also a lot of practical advice in the book about interviews and LinkedIn profiles, because you tell your story and you have these little vignettes to teach these bigger lessons, but there's also practical advice that will actually help. So why was it important for you to do both of those things in your book? So
it's crucial because, you know, you have to tell your story, of course, where you come from and how you've come about. Why I'm the one giving you advice, you know, type of thing. But then at the same time, I teach at the universities, at community college and here at Stan State, and I see the kids. I work with these kids, and you'll be shocked how some of them can't form sentences, outlines. They don't know interviews, how to go into an interview, how to dress for an interview, how to build themselves into a person that is qualified for a specific job, you know, so, and look the part. So that's why one of the chapters is called First Impressions. And I tell my students, you don't understand how much first impressions will help you. You need to dress the part. You need to act the part. You know, you have to be professional in anywhere that you go. But, you know, with LinkedIn and having, being careful on social media, right now these days, people are judging you based on what you're posting. And kids are not understanding. And when I say kids, I'm talking about high school kids, college kids, are not understanding the ramifications when they're posting derogatory comments or posts or photos, because I call it your personal brand. This is your personal brand, because when you start looking for jobs, there's nothing that is private. Everything's out there. So your future employers are looking at your profiles. You know, they're looking at your social media accounts to see, hey, is this person qualified to work with us? Will this person be part of our team? And my sister works for LinkedIn. So that's why I mentioned LinkedIn, because I see the importance of building that resume, even from a high school age. I don't care if you're volunteering. You volunteer at church, put that down. Start building your LinkedIn profile. Whatever you're doing at school, starting in high school, build that resume and start connecting with people through LinkedIn. And it doesn't matter who it could be. You know, if it's your professors, your teachers, future employers that you're interested in. This is how you get your face out, and also you're showing people your skills. So
yeah, I think that's super helpful. But it's nice that you can help them with that, like while they're still in school, and they can start building it.
And I recommend people Googling their name. Yeah. You know, Google your name and see what comes up. Because if something that pops up that you're not comfortable with, or you're not maybe proud of, you know, try to delete it, or try to see about, try removing it, or I don't know, not having it on the top of the Google page. But it's, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that makes so much sense to me. Let's talk a little bit about you. You're the oldest of 4 siblings. Were you born in Modesto?
I was born in San Jose.
Oh, okay. And then you guys did you move to Modesto when you were younger?
Yeah, so so my parents, my dad just told this story. He's hilarious. And my mom's going to kill me for even saying it. But my parents eloped. Okay. From Modesto Junior College.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. And I teach there.
Yeah.
I go, Bab, where did you pick her up? Where did you... Anyways, and my mom hates me because she feels bad that she did that, you know? But my dad loves telling it. So anyways, I was born in San Jose because they moved there. And then my sister was born after me, like 2 years later. And then a few years after my sister was born, I think she was about 3 or 4, we moved to Spain.
Right. I wanted to ask you about that. So tell me more about what that was like.
Spain was an amazing experience because I remember every little thing about it.
And you were pretty young, right?
I was young. Yeah. I went to this boarding school type of thing, but they would drop me off at home. Okay. But I was there all day. Oh, wow. I think it was like 5 or 6 p.m.
Wow.
And I go, Mom, what would you do without us all day? But yeah, it was. So I believe I was about 5 years old, and then I came back here when I was about 9 or 10. And then, but my dad managed a steel company because my uncle from Kuwait and then owned it. Okay. So then he had my dad manage it. So when he managed that for a few years, and that's what we did. We lived up northern Spain, a town called Vitoria. Okay. It's close to San Sebastian. It's like in the Basque area, if you're familiar with Spain. And then we were about 4 hours away from Lourdes, France, where Maryam appeared to Saint Bernadette. So we would always go there. My mom satlat me, like holy water, just bring back with us. Yeah. So that was a very, very good experience. Because we experienced a different culture and we spoke the language. We integrated with the Spanish people and we became friends with them. And to this day, we keep in touch with them, and we've gone to visit them, and we'll stay at their house. And
that's amazing.
So it was very nice, and that's something I want to give back to my kids. And I know my husband wants to do the same. Is really traveling and having them see different cultures, because I think it opens up their minds a little bit better.
Do you think the experience of having lived in Spain, where when you got there you didn't speak the language and then you learned it over time, do you think that experience gave you a sense of understanding of what some of our people go through when they come here and they don't speak English?
Yes, especially, well, as a child, I believe you can adapt easily to any situation. At least I was. So we became very adaptable as children because we moved. We moved so many times. But I think it's harder when you get older. So, and I always tell my parents and my in-laws, how did you do it? How did you leave something Like you were 18, 19 years old and you just left everything. And then here you are trying to establish in a new country, new language, new rules, regulations, and just everything just so fresh. That's hard. Because and if you want the truth, for me, it was easy as a kid because you go along with whatever as a child. I think it's harder a lot harder when you're older.
Yeah.
You know, and
what did you, when you were going to school here, when you were in high school or you were first starting college, what were you thinking about in terms of your education and career plan? What did you want to be? Like, what did 18-year-old Adrenna want to do with her life?
I had no clue, Rhoda. I was klikta. I didn't know what I wanted. I had no clue. So I tell my students all the time, it's okay not to know. It's okay to navigate now what you want to do, because when you get married and have kids, khacha becomes harder. Not that you can't do it. It's easily done. I have a lot of students that are parents or single moms. They come to me and they're like, sorry, I missed class. My child was sick. It's okay. We got to be adaptable with those students. But I had no idea. I left high school, Oakdale High School. Me and my sister, we were the only Assyrians. What's an Assyrian? They had no clue. So we, after high school, went to MJC trying to figure that out, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I transferred into Cal Poly. I declared a major just to declare a major because that's what which I hate that colleges do that. And then at Cal Poly, I knew what I wanted to do, which was public relations, communication. They were making it very difficult for me to then transfer into that major. So sometimes there's a lot of struggles from not knowing what exactly you want to do, but it's not that you can't do it. Yeah. You'll figure it out eventually. And sometimes I tell my students, you're going to major in something and then work something completely different. So that's okay too. Yeah. And what happens too is that you're going to be working at a job for 20 years, and next thing you know, you're like, I'm sick and tired of this. I want to switch careers. And that's fine too. Yeah. So sometimes it's just being flexible is okay, because things are going to come your way, and you just have to know how to maneuver around them sometimes.
You talked about students starting school not knowing what to do. You didn't know what to do. I feel like, and I think I'm guilty of this too, but after reading the part of the book that was about your education process, I was thinking about how we start asking kids at a really young age what they want to do. As soon as they know there's a future that they can dream of and plan for, we start asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wondered if that was some false pressure that we put on ourselves and other people. But also, how do you strike a balance between making sure that children and teenagers are growing up with ambition and plans, but also curious and open enough to whatever possibilities come their way?
I mean, that's a wonderful question, because for us growing up, at least for me and my family, my mom was very persistent about us going to college and pursuing some type of degree. She didn't care what we did, as long as we got a degree and at least a respectable type of career, But I do want to tell you that my littlest brother, is a fireman. He doesn't have a college degree, but he has his fire academy. He went to the fire academy because that's what he had been wanting to be a fireman since he was 4 years old. He would make us chase the fire trucks because I would drive. I'm 9 years older than him. Adrenna, go after the fire truck. He would do that. So from a young age, that was his passion. And my parents never forced him to go to college and get a bachelor's. When we say to the kids, like, hey, what do you want to be? I think we're really trying to have them think about the future and maybe set some type of goal, because we don't. Do you know what I mean? At least for my kids, I tell them, you could be what you want to be. I just want you to at least finish college and go to school of some sort, But so my daughter has some sort of goal. She wants to play volleyball and go to this college and live with my sister and go work at LinkedIn. That's her 11-year-old goal. Like, she's 11 years old, but that's what she wants. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. So setting goals is fine, but at the same time, I think as parents, we have to be be flexible when it comes to their dream ambition. When, just in case, hey, Mom, I don't think college is the right route for me. Maybe I want to do this, and this. Okay, set it up for me and go for it. Just don't sit home and live off of your parents until you're 40 years old.
What do you think when you think about your education journey? What do you think was the most important lesson you learned when you were going to school?
For me, it was more about resilience and not giving up, because I think it's very easy when somebody doesn't believe in you, and when somebody thinks that, for example, I was made editor of the Mustang Daily, one of the opinion editors for the Mustang Daily at Cal Poly, and then they took it back. They said to me, no, you're not going to be editor. And when I asked them, I asked the professor, and she said, we have better writers than you. Okay, imagine you're 20, 21, and somebody is telling you. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be editor. This is amazing. So when somebody takes that away from you, or somebody takes anything away from you, whether it's a promotion or somebody's putting you down, I think the best thing to do is not to listen to that opinion, because that is just an opinion. If I had listened to that, I would never have gotten my doctorate or written a book. So I think that's a lesson for anybody, is to never give up and listen to negativity, because we do that a lot.
You talk a lot about women, the women in your life, in your book, your mom, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your mother-in-law. What has it meant to you to have so many strong women to look up to? And then what example do you hope to set for your daughter?
I think it's been very important to have these strong women. And mind you, my great-grandmother, my grandmother who came here, Jada, didn't speak English. When she'd answer the phone, like 1, 2, 3, or, she would write little, I just remember her scribbles when she would take a message. So they didn't have an education, my great-grandmother or grandmother. My grandmother was pulled out of school so she could help her mom because her father died very young. And then my mother, who started going to school but eloped and got married, and then back then in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of the moms just stayed home to care of the kids, and she raised us, and then it was her time. She raised all of us, and she went back to culinary academy, got her culinary degree, and she's in Kansas right now getting her education. So those are the type of strong leaders I've had as women in my life. And my mother-in-law, God bless her heart, just the resilience of escaping Iran and leaving that country with 2 kids with nothing. So that's strong. And sometimes I think, I don't know, I think back, and I was saying this to one of the talks last week, even though we have an education here and we were born and raised here, do we sometimes lack that courage, the courage that our ancestors have? Imagine my 3 kids, Ubaraka, because of persecution. Sure. Like, I know as a mom, you do whatever you can, but I don't know, you think back to your ancestors and what they went through. If we cannot be strong now when we have luxury, then I don't know, because our great-grandparents did it. Yeah. They did it. So, but for my daughter, to answer your question, I want her to see these, the strong Assyrian families that she comes from, and also the girls and women around her that are are Assyrian and they're lawyers and doctors and making things happen for themselves. Those are the type of women I want my daughter to look up to, who are respectful and fear God and have all that. So those are important qualities that I want Isabel to really look at and look up to.
Yeah. Well, speaking of women, let's talk about feminism, because
Uh-oh.
I wonder. I wonder what that word means to you. You talk about it a little bit, so I just want you to say what that word means to you.
Okay, so and it's a great question because I get asked that a lot. One of them, my husband. But the thing is, feminism to me means a woman that can do whatever she wants in life. Okay, you want to get an education? I'm getting my education. I want to stay home with my children. I'm going to stay home with my kids if you can. There's a lot of women that can't. There's a lot of single moms, even married couples who can't afford for one parent to stay home. So you make it work. A feminist is somebody that can do what she wants, not what society tells her, not what her husband tells her she should do, not what her daddy and her brothers, and how sometimes us Assyrians, our men are, which is they're protective, and I get that. But at the same time, I respect my father, I respect my brothers. My husband is the head of the household. I respect my husband and his position. I would never demean him in any way. I have 2 sons that I'm raising. I want them to grow up to be respectful of women and whoever they marry. But at the same time, they have to have too, So you want to respect, I want to make sure my sons are also strong as well, but respectful. So feminism to me doesn't mean demeaning men at all. Feminism to me is a strong woman who believes she could do what she wants, but at the same time respect men in the process, because I feel like if you have a strong man behind you, he will let you do what you need to, like my husband. He kind of just, okay, babe, sure, you want to do that? Go ahead. I know you'll do it, whether I say yes or no. But a strong man would allow that, I think an insecure man would be afraid of that and say no. So those are the type of men that it's hard to be around as a woman.
I've heard a lot of women, especially in our community, deny the word feminism or say, "Oh, I'm not a feminist."
Yeah.
And I always wonder why feminism gets such a bad rep,
because of what we're seeing right now in pop culture and in America. I think they're giving a bad connotation to the word feminism because of how they bash men and how they, every little thing they're offended by. Let's be strong. There's not everything we need to be offended of, we can be strong and we can handle it, So I think that's why a lot of people shy away from being called
feminist.
Called that.
You make a point of talking about women not being equal to men. And I think if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is that women are not the same as men.
No, we're not.
So, and fair, our bodies are different. We are made different. Yeah. We are made to do different things. But I would say at the same time, equality then does not apply or does not mean sameness, but it means the same opportunities. Yeah. We're equal in that both men and women should be given the same opportunities in the education force and jobs and other terms like economic opportunities. Yeah. Would you agree with that notion?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, most definitely. I think, listen, we're living in America. There's nothing I can't do that a man can't do. Okay, let's be serious. Like, if I want to be a garbage truck driver, I can be a garbage truck driver. If I want to be a partner in a law firm, like my friend is right now, she is a partner in a law firm. She's an amazing lawyer. If I want to be a CEO of a company, I can get there. Okay, but I'm talking about skills and different type of qualities that maybe men don't have that us women have and do a lot better than men.
Yeah.
So when I say we're not created equal, that's what I mean
Absolutely.
by that. But you know, they talk about the whole wage equality and all that. That's unfair. It is unfair because I can put in. I'm a mom, and I get, you know, there's a lot of moms that are CEOs and have these VP positions and are executives. I don't have to always be in the office to put in the same amount of work that a man does because he is in the office. I can be at home. I can multitask better than any man. Okay?
I think women
and
in
that's
general.
women in general. Yes, women in general can multitask.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can be at home with my kids, get them showered, whatever, do homework and multitask and also work on work stuff. And I've done it a million times. Okay, so I think we have to be a little bit more flexible in the workplace for women so that we don't lose that type of creativity. You know what I mean? Because we're losing good women out there because of that notion, the 8 to 5.
Another thing you talk about is like women having it all, which kind of this reminds me of. You talk about the, what's her name? Sheryl Sandberg,
Yeah,
right?
from
That's
Facebook.
the Lean In, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I just recently read like 2 months ago, Becoming by Michelle Obama.
Oh, yeah.
And she talks about like, people talk about women having it all, and she's a woman who by every measure had it all because she had a really good education. She had a really good job. She had a husband who was very successful. She had kids. But she talks about how it was really hard to have it all for women because she had to fight for a wage that she thought would be fair for her because she felt like that's what I deserve to be paid in order to make it work, you know? And so you talk about that too. And I think that's such an interesting topic for women and mothers in general because we do want to have it all, but there is a but. And so
there is.
You talk about that in your book. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, you know, a lot. We do want to have it all, but you have to know what your definition of having it all means to you. Do not ever worry about what it means to your friend or your coworker, because to them it may mean working 40 hours, 60 hours a week, and then coming home to the kids or doing whatever. Whatever that means to that person, that's them. And what we fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to other people and wanting it all. And I think social media is a huge factor in comparing yourself. So you need to first define what having it all means to you. So for me, for example, having it all meant working, but also making sure I was there for the kids to pick them up, make sure they had food, they ate, you know, homework, do all that. I wanted to be the one doing it, not hiring a nanny or my mom or my mother-in-law doing all that. And then I would get home at like 6 and then they'd have to go to bed, you know, taking them to all their activities. And it's a big responsibility. It's a big job. So for me, it was working at my own schedule, making a flexible schedule for myself at a job, and then teaching also on the side. So I was able to do that for myself. Now, that's not to say that it works for everybody, because there's a lot of moms out there, a lot of people that say, I need to work full time. I'm a better mom when I do go outside and I'm working full time. And that's wonderful. Don't ever let anybody say, but you're not raising your kids. That's nonsense, because you're still coming home and doing the job that a stay-at-home mom is doing as well. Or if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I have a lot of friends that have a good education. They have their bachelor's, master's, they were teachers, but they wanted to stay home with the kids because they can. But that was their decision, and that's what works for them and their dynamic and their family. And nobody should ever say to you, but you don't do anything all day. What do? Fold laundry? Yeah. And do this. I have like a million things that I have to get done. And I personally think it's the hardest job, because I can't be home all day. I can't. But there's some moms that have sacrificed their careers and everything to be home with their kids, and that's fine too. So you have to define what it means to have it all. There's a lot of things that I say no to because I can't. You know, in my book, I talk about the superheroes. You know, I grew up with Wonder Woman and Supergirl in the 80s, and even they didn't have it all. You know, they didn't have a family. They didn't have kids. Yeah. So they couldn't do it all. They were superheroes saving the world, having it all, that glam life, the beautiful long legs and the beautiful hair and face, but they didn't have kids and they didn't have a husband or a family. The only one that I didn't write about was Elastigirl from Incredibles 2. Now she has a family. She has a family now because she's a modern superhero. But, you know, but even in this one, she couldn't have it all. In the last one, I don't know if anybody's seen it. I've seen it like a million times because I have kids that are obsessed with it. She strikes a deal with her husband for him to stay home with the kids. And then she goes out to save the world. But then she's always checking in as she's saving the world. And, you know, it's just... that's a mom life, and it's very realistic type of superhero that they portray.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the superheroes because you do talk about them, and they are the more like in your face, strong kind of women. Yeah. But then you also talk about other women in your life, like your great grandmother, and they were strong. They're superheroes, but in a different way. It was more graceful and quiet. Yeah. But it was still strong. What does it mean to you to be strong?
I think being humble, being respectful of others, and being able to be resilient in facing any type of adversity. And what that means is not crumbling at every little thing that comes your way. Be strong and face it on. And I think that's what being strong means to me, because that's what I've learned from all the women that have come before me. Like my mom faced on so many things. My grandmother, my great grandmother, my God, losing a husband with 7 children after the genocide and raising those children in Iraq all by herself. That's strong. That's somebody, and I know we all have these stories. We all have these great grandparents and that were so resilient and strong. And my grandmother always used to say, you're very spoiled in this country. There's no reason, not to be strong here, because we do have it a lot easier than what our ancestors had. So we have to take full advantage of everything that comes our way. And sometimes, yes, things do happen, and but being resilient and not giving up and being humble, that's key.
How has motherhood changed you?
I was very career driven. And I would always say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be a manager here, and I'm going to go this way. And then, even when I was pregnant, I'm going to come back to work like a month later. I remember telling my boss, like, hey, whatever you need, I'll be there, helping you, whatever. As soon as she was born, it was like I did a 180, and it's like a new woman. I felt like a new person was born. Like I was different, very different. Things that mattered didn't matter anymore. I didn't care about being promoted or being, I cared about my job, but I didn't care about where I was going to be in like a year or so, because I was very focused on Isabel and being a new mom. And I just loved that. And I hated that I was working over 40 hours a week, and I wouldn't get home until 6 o'clock, and I would shower her and put her to bed. So I changed my perspective on what I wanted and didn't want as far as a career. So I quit my corporate job, and then I started working at the Stanislaus County Fair, because they actually gave me one of the best things that could have happened was a flexible schedule. And I've thrived there because of the flexibility. I feel like you're a better employee, more engaged. But that's how my daughter being born changed me.
What has your proudest moment been as a mom? And you know why I'm asking this?
Yeah.
Because I think this was you and your kids, but I remember like a lemonade stand.
Oh, yes.
So I wondered if you would talk about that, because I just thought that was so precious.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So Isabel came up with that.
Okay.
Because we were talking about all the Assyrians and the killings that were happening, the ISIS and what was happening to our people. And both of the kids got scared, and they said, I can't believe that's happening to kids our age there. And we were just talking, and Isaiah was like, I would go over there and kill all of them. That was his mentality years ago. But then Isabel was like, well, how can we send them money? Like, what's a good way? And I said, I don't know. How do you think? What could we do? And she goes, oh, I remember somebody selling lemonade she had seen. And I go, oh, that's a great idea. Maybe we should do like a lemonade stand and sell. So we got a bunch of kids from Assyrian school and from church. And we just created and I had my graphic guy design like a lemonade with the Assyrian symbol. What was it?
It was the Arabic noon, right?
Arabic noon on the eye, for the dot. And we got Mar'awa's blessing on it. Like, hey, if we raise this money, can we give it to Asiro and all this stuff? And he said, yes, I think that's wonderful. So we got a bunch of kids from church, and we did it for a few weekends, and then we sold it at the Assyrian festival here. And it was just something fun for the kids to give back to our people, because they need to know what's going on.
Of course.
They need to know that not every Assyrian kid has the luxuries that you do. There's kids in the Middle East right now, in Syria, Iraq, and Iran that don't have what you have, and they're being killed for going to church, for believing in God and Jesus. So that's how that was a proud moment. I love that she did that, and it became successful.
Last weekend, you had an event at the Turlock Assyrian American Civic Club of Turlock with Maryam, who is also a guest on the podcast. Can you talk a little bit about that event? Yeah,
so me and Maryam have partnered up for this event series called Assyrian EmpowHer. So it's basically, we took her logo and then my EmpowHer book and put it together as a partnership. And we want to put together these different seminars in different cities to empower younger women and women in general. So we had a lot of older women, which we loved, because we got a lot of great opinions.
That's wonderful. You can always count on that.
Oh, we can always count on those hands being raised, which we love. That's what we're there for. Eventually, so we might be in LA at the end of June. Okay. So we're going to be doing an event there, God willing. I know Maryam's working very hard with one of the guys in LA to put this together, help us put it together. So we'll be traveling there hopefully by end of June. We'll announce the dates, and then go to different cities. So we want to do San Jose, Chicago, maybe Arizona. Nice. Eventually, hopefully go to Europe. Okay. And then my dream is maybe taking it to Iraq.
Oh, that would be lovely.
To the Nineveh Plains. And I have a couple friends that are there right now, like Susie Yonin, and I know a couple other girls that are there. And I kind of told them, just put a little thing in their ear that
plant a little seed.
Yeah, plant a little seed that, hey, would the kids be interested in doing something like that if we brought it there? I think it would be
What
wonderful.
Type of things do you talk about in this?
So, for example, this last one, we talked about jealousy in women. Women were the first ones to throw each other, I feel like, under the rug to get ahead in life. Or or whatever. Like, why do we have to put each other down to make ourselves look good? And it's because of insecurity and jealousy. So that was what we focused on. And Maryam does the Assyrian version, which she's amazing when she speaks. And sometimes I don't understand. I'm like, I mean, I'm great at Assyrian, but she takes it to a whole new level. So she does an Assyrian version, and then what we decided was I would do the English version for the younger demographics so they could understand kind of what we're talking about. So what I talked about was jealousy in the workplace, how to overcome it, and how not to be that type of toxic person in that workplace. So that's what I talked about. Now, the next seminar that we want to bring in June, we haven't picked the topic, but some of the topics we've discussed is like how to conduct yourself on social media. One of the things I brought up to the women as a potential topic is Assyrian women then versus now, and not just versus now, but Assyrian women now here in America versus women in the Middle East and in Europe, and how different we are and how our values and maybe what our priorities are. We just don't want to lose our people. We don't want to lose our people just because you're living in America. And one of the ladies brought up, and I told her, I was very blunt with her. I go, Atto, you're very right. I go, Ana yalidi dan hamzum surat minna jawubina bi English. Why? What is it about our language here in the US that some of our kids are not they're not speaking it anymore?
Yeah, I always wonder about that because we call America a great melting pot, and there are so many people I know who would have never dared to speak Arabic or Farsi at home in the Middle East because, and I wonder if that has to do with like the religious connotation of those languages.
That's
like,
what some ladies said. That's what some ladies said. Yeah.
Whereas English is just like, there's no connotation,
That's what one lady said. Yeah. She goes that because she was answering the other one back, and she goes that's the biggest difference. And then one lady, which I loved, see, this is what I love, is when they all start talking, because then we don't have to talk so much.
They're doing the work.
They're doing all the talking, and we're educating each other. So one of the ladies said, لا تخمنيتون بتيالي إن يالي السورة هدية همزمي السورة ديالنا and if you're speaking it to them برموينا like my kids هدية همزمن minute they understand everything 150%. She said when they get older, they will start speaking it. And my brother, who is a shamasha at church, he strictly spoke English. I remember my mom to him one day said, "Bruni, خزقلت همزوم خينا مني سورة أنا همزوم من أخ سورة هم جرب لي." He goes, "أنا لبين. I don't want to. I only want to speak English." Well, now he reads and writes in Assyrian, speaks way better than us, and shamasha at church. So it changed as long as the foundation is there, I think. So anyways, we totally got off topic, which is what happens. But those are the type of seminars that we want to discuss. There's so many topics that we can bring up for women, Assyrian women, young girls that we want to bring in, and we're hoping that the community can kind of help with that and say, hey, we want to hear about this, or hey, we want to hear about that. And I told Maryam, I don't want to just always be me and her, because there's so many women out there that we can educate ourselves with. So having we'll set it up, but then having maybe different panels, like a panel type of discussion from different women. Because
everybody brings their own experiences.
I mean, how much am I going to talk about myself? It's just like, I don't want to bore people. So I told Maryam, we have this now.
Sure.
Okay, but let's bring in the next, maybe the third one that we do is maybe, which I haven't really talked to her about, but maybe have more of a panel type of. Cool. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
What's next for you?
I don't know. You're so funny. I started off with, I don't know. You know what? I've learned to take it now that, because having kids, I've really taken things day by day, whatever comes my way. I am working on a little project that I don't know what's, because of the book, because of the chapter called The Battlefield. I've had interest in putting more things together visually that will bring something to life that that has to do with that chapter. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I leave everything in God's hands. I just have to work hard and make certain things happen. And then sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't happen. And I don't want to put too much pressure on myself because I know how I am. I am very competitive and I'm very hard on myself too. So a lot of times I have to learn to just let it go. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. Yeah. So there's that. And we'll see.
Any other books?
I'm right now, no. I don't have anything that I'm working on or writing because I'm focused on this other project. Sure. You never know. Yeah. I think there could be another one coming out maybe in a couple more years, but I don't want to say, I don't know what it could be. I mean, I didn't even know I could do this.
Well, now that you know you have it in you.
Yeah, now that I know that I have it in me, yeah, I think I would love to. But I do want to work towards having an agent and a publisher. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to self-publish and market yourself. You have to put money towards somebody marketing you. Because even though I'm in marketing, I'm not going to market, oh, hey guys, send a press release about myself. Mm-hmm. Like, it's weird. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I have to, if I can find an agent and a publisher that would help me with my next book, I think that would be ideal.
Okay, well, if there's someone listening.
If there's somebody listening.
Who's an agent or a publisher. So the last thing we like to ask all of our guests is we have people listening from the United States, from Europe, Australia, Canada, all over. If there's one thing you could say to every Assyrian who's listening, what would it be?
We need to learn to be more unified as Assyrians, because if we're not unified and we're not helping each other out, then who will? We don't have anybody. And just, and I see it in our churches and in our clubs and different type of federations, just the bickering of nonsense stuff, putting each other down, and for ridiculous reasons, reasons that are so minuscule that sometimes it doesn't register in my head why some people are the way they are. The younger demographic, younger generation is starting to slowly kind of work on unifying and not bickering so much on the little things, because it's hard sometimes to work with the older people in church or federations or different type of clubs, because their mentality is different than maybe mine. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I just I don't want to bicker with them because we're all working for the same goal. My advice or my thing for Assyrians is that I wish we were a little bit more unified when it comes to, because it starts with the little things, what in your own community, in your church, or at whatever club that you're part of, Assyrian club. And I know things, everybody has different opinions, but I think the tearing down of each other publicly or throwing ourselves, other people under the bus, it just tears us apart. This is why we're so separated. I feel like a lot of us are so against each other and trying to put each other down to make ourselves look good, which is, we should be the opposite of that. We should be proud of, hey, Rhoda, look what you're doing, and you're doing amazing things, and look at this amazing podcast that you guys have created, and just really being there for each other instead of tearing each other down, because we will never be a nation, an Assyrian nation of one. We're always going to be separated the way we are right now, and I think our generation is slowly bringing us together, and I love that. I love seeing what you're doing, and Steve, and like I told you, I met Savina, Maryam, Shamalta, and what she's doing. I mean, we're this generation and the ones below us are working hard to make us a one nation. So it's wonderful.
What you've seen with the current generation of Assyrians doesn't give you hope for the future.
It gives me hope for my kids.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want my kids to be proud of that they're Assyrian, that their great grandparents were almost murdered to be here, for their grandparents, like my in-laws, were leaving Iran by foot to make it to Turkey. I write it in my book, and what my in-laws went through with my husband. What they went through to make it here, and just being proud of who we are. And I tell everybody, listen, whatever invention there has been, we invented it first. And I tweeted about this because I go, we invented the bagpipes. The Scottish bagpiping. I was shocked.
Amazing.
I'm like, yes, Zorna, yes, that's us. We invented it. Of course we invented it.
I had a coworker who used to tell me you should just walk around with a shirt that says "You're welcome" for everything.
Yes.
Because they used to mention beer, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? Assyrians invented that. Oh, calendar? Assyrians invented that. Everything.
Astrology,
I would just throw that in.
wheel. You name it.
I think sometimes I struggle with being proud of those things, because of course we are.
Yeah.
But continuing to find things that are more contemporary to also be proud of Assyrians are doing. So that's why it's very exciting to me when Assyrians of my generation write books or get involved with politics or different things, because then we're not just limited to being proud of things that our ancestors did thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, but we have things that we're doing right now to make an impact in the society. Like all the Cheb Nisan messages from the different politicians in Washington, I appreciated those because
I love that.
They were saying that like Assyrians have made an impact in, teaching, the police academy. They were talking about what we're doing today. And
I just loved it. I absolutely loved all that. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, with our ancestors and everything that they had gone through, they didn't have a voice. They didn't. We are their voice now, because we're living in a country where we can have a voice, and also a voice for our brothers and sisters in the Middle East who may not have a voice right now. And I think our job, who maybe have the ability, have the education, is to be their voice and to help out as much as we can. So that's, I think, is my number one thing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time and being here.
It was really nice talking to you, and I hope that when you do write another book or there's something else, then we can come back and talk again about your new project.
Thank you. I hope so too. Thank you.